Wolfgang's.
I think it's a steakhouse.
Is that Wolfgang Puck, supposedly?
I don't think it is, actually. But let's see if the button... Where's the green light?
It's Wolfgang Schmuck.
Wow. Okay, there it is. 5 seconds late, but the green light is on. So we're broadcasting now, Charles. It's a miracle.
That's amazing, Jason. Look at that pizza.
It looks terrible to me. That looks like it's been sitting in the window for hours.
That's right.
But welcome, everyone, to a Thursday broadcast of Charles Ortel is closing in. We had a very strange disruption yesterday that I still cannot understand, Charles. I had a lengthy conversation with the developers of the software that we're using right now, and they are also perplexed.
It was a disturbance in the force, Jason.
Exactly.
Here we have, I'm going to put you in this tank.
I don't like this tank. I actually had a conversation with them in the past about turning down their excessively loud music, which I'm happy to say they did.
Yeah. How can you have kosher milk?
Kosher milk? Well, milk is kosher so long as you don't drink it with meat.
Oh, I see. Okay.
If it's a kosher dairy, that means that they're not serving any meat.
It just said kosher milk on the side of the thing.
That's what they mean, I think.
Well, so here we are. This is, what would you call this district? This is the
Midtown, no?
falling down part of Manhattan. I mean, look at all these scaffoldings everywhere.
It's terrible.
And this used to be, I would say this is the garment district, used to be. But of course, with the exodus of the apparel manufacturing industry, first to the South and then to Asia, and I think now to Central America, I don't know how much of this is still Garmento.
Well, because I mean, there used to be like factories in all of these buildings, right?
Well, and in upstate New York, actually. But these were the places where, my understanding is you had one or more blocks that was filled with the fur trade and the latest styles of how you would sew up the furs, which would have been gleaned. I only know this because, believe it or not, I have an ancestor who is not Jewish, who was a major shareholder in the Spokane Fur Company, and he was prided himself on coming east to New York.
Is that a Jewish thing, the fur trade?
Yes, it was, I think.
Russian too.
Sure, because of the sable and all that stuff. Yeah.
But all the fur stores on 27th or whatever, it's Russian.
Yeah.
I wonder. I guess people weren't
use that
buying
word
furs.
Russian. Maybe they're Ukrainian.
I don't know. But bad stuff going on there, Charles. We had a lot to talk about yesterday, and of course, we've used National Buffoon before.
Right.
But now he's on a European vacation. Have we heard from the National Buffoon? Is he doing anything else to draw us?
Honestly, it's the degree to which that guy has grifted with his family at the trough for 50 plus years, is just so egregious that I almost have difficulty feeling sorry for him the way he's shuffling around. But of all the leaders who arrived at the NATO conference yesterday, most were greeted at the airport and most took time to speak to the press, and Biden wouldn't take any questions.
They should have made him take a cab from the airport.
And then he's doing the old man walk.
Yeah.
He's walking like a...
Shuffling, yeah.
And it's not like this is normal day. It's not like this is 1992. The Soviet Union's fallen apart. The Berlin Wall came down. The East Warsaw Pact disappeared, and the only substantial superpower in '92 was the United States. China hadn't entered the World Trade Organization. It hadn't gotten Hong Kong yet. India was still socialist. And
isn't it now also?
Well, no. It became India Inc. under Manmohan Singh, who first was the one who made, as finance minister, the decision to abandon socialism and embrace a form of capitalism. And it's basically crooked crony oligarch capitalism.
What we have here.
Everywhere, but in India.
Yeah.
And
there's a new Weed World vehicle.
Yeah, and but anyway, so now Bite Me's over there with his team of ass clowns.
Yeah. Shaved head.
Yeah, Jake Sullivan with the strange hair, and and making all these pronouncements and refusing to engage, as is required, I think, on the issue of what was really going on in the push eastward. I have a really hard time reading Clinton words, and the thought of, I've already paid for actually 2 editions of.
Look at that line at Joe's Pizza.
It's your place.
2 editions of what did you pay for?
Of Clinton's doorstop book, My Lies.
Right.
But it actually is quite candid in places about key portions of his life, including the.
Space to rent, must see inside.
Yeah, that's, what's his name, right?
They've
Nygaard.
cleared out all the sex stains.
I don't think you can do that with. I don't
Look,
think you
there's
can.
another one of these Tortazo places.
Right. So, in his book, it talks.
This
I
is
see
going to
it,
be
yeah.
super slippery.
I see. He talks ad nauseum about his decision to push the United States and NATO eastward into the former Warsaw Pact, into the former Soviet Union. He talks it over and over. I signed this agreement to do this in the Ukraine. And,
So he's proud that he broke these agreements.
well, yeah, and he's bragging about it. And of course, he talks shit basically. Every aspect of the Paula Jones case, it's the evil Ken Starr, blah, 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 blah.
Right.
And he's the noble Bill Clinton procuring blowjobs for himself from unpaid intern. I mean, that part he doesn't discuss.
You're right. He should have paid her at least. That would have.
Well, no, it's just the notion that he would be able
Casting
to
judgment.
Well, to say, as he did yesterday when Madeline Not So Bright finally died, he said she was a national treasure, forgetting that she's still dead. But Madeline Not So Bright played a diabolical role as Secretary of State in many of the worst crises that the United States was involved with when Bill Clinton was pretending he was President of the United States.
Give us the highlights.
Well, diddling everything aside. Well, I don't know if she was Secretary of State during Rwanda and.
Oh yeah, that was bad. Where that guy's plane crashed in the presidential yard or whatever, and then the Hutus, they gave them all the machetes and they were chopping each other up.
Right, and there are people who know a lot more about this history who even say that it's false to claim that it's Hutus versus Tutsis, that it's deeper than that. It's, and I don't know the history well enough to opine. Wouldn't stop Joe from opining, but there's a crisis where many hundreds of thousands, if not 500,000 or 600,000 people were slaughtered under his watch, and in a continent which I believe is Africa. And for him to say he's the first black president,
that's just.
We did nothing about that when he was president. And in Bosnia, we've been there, you and I, and our mutual friend who we were there with can recite chapter and verse about how many stupid decisions were made under Clinton. And now people are telling our friend with credibility that there's going to be a new war in Bosnia. And so that is certainly not solved. I found it fascinating in My Lies that I was looking specifically for what did he have to say about the handover in Hong Kong, June 30th, July 1st, 1997, depending on whether you're where you are on the planet that day. Nothing. You would think that's a pretty major thing to go and say, you can have Hong Kong. And you've been to Hong Kong, I guess, maybe? Or?
Just the airport.
Okay, well, if you go there, it's kind of like, my reaction, and I love Chinatown here in New York, but it's a gigantic Chinatown in a landscape kind of like San Francisco with the hills around it and the harbor and all that. And the energy of the people there.
Well, they're super cosmopolitan, right?
Well, because there's part of the lesson here, if they did to New York City what they did to Hong Kong, we'd kick some ass. They lower the taxes to very low, encourage you to declare your income and pay tax on it, and people work 24/7 there.
That used to be here.
I don't know, not in my lifetime.
24/7? Maybe it was just me.
Speaking of Bill Clinton, so here we
That's
are.
actually a pretty good sounding saxophone.
I know. I was talking about this thing.
Oh, yeah. Elmo, the pink.
PJs. So you keep going up to 46 or 7?
Whatever, yeah. Well, let's see. How do we like Times Square today, Charles?
I hate Times Square.
Really? I don't know. I kind of like it. It's craziness and everything.
I like Shinjuku in Japan.
It reminds me of Times Square.
Well, it's nice. It's bigger and nicer.
It is bigger. It's crazier.
Well, this is just dirty and
Yeah,
big
can't
brand
deny
name
that.
shops and all
You're
kinds
right.
of grifters and beggars. I mean, it's a lot better. Good thing that guy's protecting the COVID-19 testing places.
The cop.
Yeah, protecting and serving with courtesy, professionalism, and respect. Here's
You're
another.
taking my lines, Charles.
You won't give me a production credit? I take your lines. Just kidding.
What is that? I can play the role with only half a finger. What happened, Master Thespian? Acting. Remember that character?
Yeah.
That was pretty good.
He's probably waiting for his half of the 2 for $6 deal.
So, Charles, one of the things I wanted to discuss with you yesterday before we were unceremoniously
Sweet.
prevented from broadcasting, which I still can't explain, nothing different
This is
about today, except that I waited until very late before we began to post that it was happening. I don't know if that means anything, but we had President Stupid at the business roundtable. Actually, our friend Jan Weinberg
resident,
yeah,
not president.
but Jan sent me a message because I'm re-adding people to Twitter, to my J Goodman _ CSTT on Twitter. And the reason I was thinking about Jan was because he had told me all about the business roundtable
Sure.
and how sinister it is. And then, of course, stupid Joe Biden was at the business roundtable, and he said, well, you know, there's going to be a new world order, and it hasn't happened in a long time, and America's got to lead it. And, I mean, he said it.
Yeah.
And then they're like, oh, conspiracy theorists think that Joe Biden's actually talking about the New World Order.
Well, actually, a book was written in the name of George H.W. Bush and I forget the guy who was his aide, embracing that, explaining how the New World Order was created, what its goals were.
Well, and he said it too at the UN in
Well, it
1991 or 2.
But it sounds, you're sitting there and Jaime Manouche over here, who's the president of Guatemala, he's talking about the banana initiative in the southern portion of his country, and the president of the United States gets up and says, I'm making this up, and says, well, he can have the bananas, I'm doing a New World Order, and then all the globalists say, New World Order? Does that mean I can go to champagne and fancy caviar conferences around the world at the expense of somebody else and get sinecures? That sounds good to me. Fuck the bananas.
But I know you were just joking about Jaime Mnuchin and whatever, but Guatemala, I think, has like a 30-year-old president who's buying
Bitcoin, yeah.
millions of dollars worth of Bitcoin.
Right.
But it's not moving. Bitcoin has been like stopped at approximately 40 for...
I think it's, yeah.
It's going up a little bit, but I would have thought with Putin announcing the advent of the petro-ruble, which sent the ruble surging against the dollar, and I think is just the beginning of trouble for the dollar.
Sorry,
I would have thought Bitcoin would go up. It's a little loud. Hang on a second.
a little. So fucking loud, it's making my head split.
It's pretty loud.
So here we are. This is what anticipated completion, spring 2022. I'll take the other side of that bed. Let's walk down Diamond Alley. There.
It didn't spring 2022. Isn't it ending in like 3 months, and that thing is nowhere near done?
I don't think that ends in 3 months. Let's go out across the
Go
street.
this way? Yeah. So Charles, does this stack of meat look at all appealing? When the picture of the food looks terrible, you're in big trouble.
Actually, that food, I from time to time I have it.
Oh,
Every time I do, I regret it.
of course, that's going to make you sick immediately.
Well, yeah, you can lose weight the hard way
Right.
by throwing up. But here, I mean, this is, what's to love about this? You know,
Philly cheesesteak. I don't think so. It's just
nobody
nasty.
there.
I'm always surprised that people want to eat this. But so Petro ruble, pretty smart of Putin, I think.
Well, it's of necessity. But I really do think, in my business dealings, I was trained well to, before you decide to negotiate over a business deal, what?
S'mores.
You have to reach a conclusion whether the person you're dealing with is not honest, but honorable. So that if you agree on a course of action, do they stick to that course of action reliably?
Yes, that's a very important factor.
And if they won't, you don't deal with them.
Ah, yes,
So-
I agree, Charles.
And that's what we're showing. I mean, the Russians, I would argue, are correct to say that, listen, we've seen enough in the West from 91 forward. They said they would do this, and they did the opposite. They said they would do this, and we registered our concerns. They wouldn't even address them.
Right.
I say that's history. We only want to talk about the future. I mean, once you get to that point, what you reluctantly understand is that you're now, where your courses are, give up or fight. And if it's something that's existentially important, you fight. You have to fight if you're the president of Russia. You can't just say, oh, well, I want to be remembered as the person who gave in and let a moron with dementia hobble future generations of Russians across 11 time zones because I was too lazy to stand up for it. And in that connection, I'm mindful of the fact that I, myself, as a younger person, was in favor of the Iraq War because I bought the bullshit. I wasn't naive, I wasn't cynical and
dialed in,
skeptical enough to believe that our own government would lie to us.
Right. I think a lot of people are in that.
And so you have a large number of influence-shaping TikTok morons who are out there saying, oh no, it's on all over the news. Putin's evil. Putin's bad. Russia's bad. And you take somebody like a Candace Owens, who's got a real flair beyond being smart and glib and interesting to listen to. She has a real flair for seizing on issues that will get attention, and she has been among the earliest to call out Zelensky for being a corrupt grifter and getting a lot of shit for it, so much so that the Times, New York Slime's fish wrapper, contacted her by email and said, okay, you keep talking about this corruption in Ukraine, what evidence do you have? And so with great glee, she talks about this on Twitter.
I'm frankly amazed the New York Times cares about evidence. But what did she say?
She cited all these articles in the New York Times
where
they talk about the problem with corruption.
She is really smart.
Right, and indeed, if we go back to that history, in the 2015-16 timeframe, the Hillary Clinton gaslighting approach, which she's been doing her entire life, is to blame her opponent for carrying out her own behavior.
Yes.
So the rap, let's just stand up here for a second and see what...
Pretty windy and cold and crappy today.
Yeah, let's just see for a second if... Remember Eric, what's this guy's name who got kicked out of Fox? Eric Bowling. It's right there.
Uh-huh.
So if you're just a few feet up, you see a very different perspective. But this is the center of what remains of the Orthodox conservative, and it's not all that Orthodox anymore, conservative media empire. You got the Post in there, you got Fox in there. You do have some Fox people who know what they're talking about. Tucker, for example, I think is very good. But I would really encourage our viewers to start studying more carefully the history, because most of us, including me, do not know the history of what the United States did from 92 forward with regard to pushing on former allies of the former old Soviet Union to join NATO, to expand eastward, to put bases and weapons eastward.
To piss off Russia.
Well, and to what purpose? I mean, I understand.
To destroy them.
Well, see, I understand the idea that the Soviet Union posed a threat. I understand that, because the Soviet Union was a large population. Russia is only 11 time zones today. So former Soviet Union may have been still 11, but it had the stuff underneath it.
You mean size?
Yeah, 11 time
Right,
zones.
but the population is like half of us.
Less than half. But the point is that I understand back when
It's
the
too cold up here,
yeah,
Charles.
when I'm just trying to make sure you get cold as hell. So that
Yeah, it's working.
is it working? Okay. Yeah, this is slippery here. So so I understand why you would want the Soviet Union to fall apart. What I don't understand is that, let's go that way. Once it fell apart,
Then
why
what
are
were you
we
trying to
stomping?
do?
Why are we stomping on Russia instead of doing that? What we should be doing is encouraging Russia to be part of the
World economy.
well, the world economy, but more importantly, I think of the intra-European trade. We wouldn't need to be worried about Russia's holding Western Europe, and particularly Germany and Finland and a few nations that are very dependent on Russian gas and oil. We wouldn't need to worry about that if over 30 years, the last 30 years, we developed common ground and shown the Russians by example, listen, we understand, we rebuilt Western Europe after World War II. We didn't help you. Now, after 92, you've got famine in Russia in 96, 7. You've got all kinds of problems. We'll help you.
But
And,
this new thing.
the Elgin,
But that's weird.
looks like it's heated.
Yeah, it is. Look, they have heaters. But I mean, they're building this when they're taking down other ones?
This was called the juice. The owner's got the juice.
Noodle sushi.
Yeah.
Udon noodles and
And you
sushi.
got Pronto Pizza.
So yeah, it doesn't make much sense
So-
that they're trying to bash Russia.
Yeah, and you think about it, if you're sitting on the other side, and I know our acquaintance Katya Blanova really feels this personally, that they're relentless. Russia's bad. Russia did this. Russia
Right.
did that. At a certain point, you're excused, I think, for saying, these people are really out to get us.
Of course.
And that being the case, we've watched. We watched Bill Clinton. We know what he did. I mean, the files they must have on Clinton from his time going to the former
Right.
Soviet Union and Czech Republic or Czechoslovakia,
Who
when it
knows?
was tough to do that and he had no money. What was he really doing there? We know the anti-Vietnam movement was infiltrated by the KGB. What was Strobe Talbot doing there? What was Clinton doing there? What was Hillary doing there? What was Magaziner doing? And the Russians know.
Why don't they tell us? I want to know.
Yeah, me too. So this is I don't know if this place is still here. Yeah, I guess it is. I have no economic interest in this Hua Liang Yi. And I know you hate Chinese food, but this is one of the best restaurants in New York.
I like the way it tastes. It just makes me feel awful immediately.
I can't understand why you wouldn't have it 7 days a week. But this is one of these old-fashioned places, with a nice tablecloths.
Whoa!
Yeah. And
This hot dog stand almost capsized.
and it's not cheap, actually, that restaurant.
The Chinese place?
Yeah, and they give you family-sized plates of every order, so you don't order, or at least this is what they used to do, you don't order
5 things.
as you might in England, where the dishes are very small, typically.
The best Chinese restaurant I ever ate at was in Paris, Charles.
Yeah, which one? Seyang?
I don't remember the
Yeah,
name. It
it's
was
probably-
the 14th arrondissement.
Now you're showing off. Next thing you know, you're going to be in a Chanel hat. Anyway, there was a chain of fancy French restaurants called TSE Yang.
This was
And
30
one was in
years
Paris.
ago.
I was 30 years ago. One was in Paris, one was in London, one was here, one was in Tokyo. They were outstanding.
At the time, there was an NYU Maison des Étudiants. And right near there was this Chinese restaurant. It was great. I had the best duck I've ever had.
Yeah, China, I mean, yeah. I'm sure Paris was difficult, because you were studying so hard there too.
Right. How quickly I could pound booze. I was 18 and 19.
Yeah, those were the days, Jason.
Indeed. I mean, that was pre 9/11. It's sad, Charles. I mean, we didn't realize then, or I didn't realize then, how much better things were than they are now. I feel bad for
H.W. was president then.
Yeah, he was a jackass. I don't think I realized that at the time.
He was over there in Japan vomiting on the prime minister.
I thought that was funny.
That was, I mean,
Was that
that was
the father or the son?
prime minister. No, that was
It was
H.W.
cute, though.
H.W.
Yeah.
He was at Wayne's World. He hurled, man. He hurled, dude.
Lost his lunch.
No, he was
Like, thanks for the sushi.
It was projectile vomit.
That's the best.
I guess. It's like serious stuff when you wake up in the morning and it's above the chair rail on the opposite wall. You know it's been rough.
So here's another COVID testing van.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they're still testing. What?
Well, what I love is now we have, Hillary has it, but Bill is Cat Turd. You know Cat Turd on Twitter?
Yeah.
Pretty funny, whoever that is.
Does she have it?
She has it, Hillary, but Bill doesn't, and the person, there's no surprise there.
Yeah, we're probably nowhere near each other.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it's like we have all these people well into their 70s getting COVID and like joking about it on Twitter. Doesn't really seem like this terminal, life-threatening thing. And they always come to the foregone conclusion, well, thank goodness
I was vaccinated.
I got the right, because it's definitely not as bad as it would have been. How do you know? Everybody's clairvoyant all of a sudden.
Well, that was like my kids' arguments when they were like, 7 and 2 or whatever. And being indulgent parents with more money than common sense, we had every conceivable toy that you could possibly wanted. Kids had it, and we had multiple playrooms and bedrooms. And you come back on a Saturday afternoon and the place is like, it looks like the
Toy
dump.
explosion.
The dump. And I come in over one time, my eldest goes, Dad, we've been cleaning for 2 hours. Imagine what it used to be like.
Oh, yeah.
Uh-huh.
This kid should be in sales.
Right, I don't think so.
Yeah, well.
But I don't expect much positive to come out of the NATO thing. And honestly, the folks who say, why do we need NATO is a good question. Why
Trump
do we?
said that, didn't he?
Well, and that's what you should, if you're a business person.
Yes.
When you look at your costs,
This costs a lot of money, and what the hell is it doing?
we have a gigantic military that's already doing most of the NATO mission.
Right.
Why do we also need this?
Subsidize these other places.
And I loved when he went to the building the first time, and he said, I promise you I'm not going to bring up at all the monstrous cost of this building. I'm not
Trump
going to
said
bring,
that?
it was hilarious.
That is funny.
And he's right.
Yeah.
And in my experience, I had a client in the railroad industry.
Whoa. Some new object to art. What did the railroad industry say?
It's a shovel to shovel all the bullshit.
Yeah, what we
the
need is
trough.
a pile of shit over here
Well,
and
it's
start shoveling.
shovel all the bullshit that comes out of our government's mouth.
Well, let's just read the sign and see what this thing is talking
I'm
about.
sure this was selected by a committee. Klaus Oldenburg, that's a serious person. Courtesy of the artists.
Plantois Blue.
That's a trowel, basically. It's like
You know what? I kind of like that, Charles.
Oh, come on. It's, it's like, I don't know.
It's funny and silly. I like it.
Okay. Right. So here we are in front of the Plantoir. Let's go up to Trump Tower and see if it's
Sure.
still trumping. But, NATO, in the first, there have been many people who've served in what's left of Afghanistan and Iraq and other NATO missions and served with honor and distinction. And sadly, some have lost their lives. Others have had psychological and or physical grave injuries. And I don't want to make light of that, and I'm not making light of that. But that said, it's not an exercise where in proportion to our, whatever you want to say, you want to use, whether it's consumption, GDP, whatever you want to say, that or population, that each nation contributed the same percentage. That's not what happened. That's not what's happening now. We have disproportionately contributed financially.
Well, but Charles, I don't know if you can really talk about this in this context. You're not a historian.
I'm also not a mathematician.
We need a biologist to talk about this because you're discussing humans.
I think that's a barfologist.
Yeah.
I'm not a barfologist. Yeah, you are actually. But anyway,
Did you get the Lego Supreme Court set? Complete with bobbleheads.
that's right.
Look, it's Ketanji Brown. Although I can't tell because
You
maybe
wouldn't
that's
know.
I'm not a plastic
I
engineer.
mean, what an excuse we're now going to have courts across the country. You know, will the defendant please write? I'm not a lawyer.
I
don't know if
identify as innocent.
I identify, that's right, as the judge.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
Right.
No.
Whoa, all of you people. Don't run the light and then try to hit us.
Yeah. And it does, it opens this pathway now for just complete tomfoolery and a waste of time. And actually, I believe under English law, I'm no expert on that, but I'm familiar with it, that there are, I think, forget if it's by common law or not, but there are certain terms that are accepted and that cannot be debated. So they don't have any time for somebody who's going to say, well, like, whoa,
careful.
Yeah, you do have, these are slippery souls. I was hacked. My souls were hacked.
Gotta be careful
Oh, yeah.
walking with your hands in your pockets
That's true.
because then you can't
That's true.
react quickly.
That's what happened a number of year ago.
Yeah.
When I did the old face plant.
Oh, Charles, look, these are great shoes for you.
No, I don't think so.
No?
No. That's a hard no. But anyway, so this idea in England that you would have a lawsuit where somebody's going to debate
Oh, yeah.
whether you're a ladder or a chair or whatever, there's no time for that. And that there should be the same set of principles in this country, but we're not going to go there if we allow a complete moron, the resident, to put forward these people. And if the other morons in the Senate don't stand up, I mean, right now is that woman, Marjorie Taylor Greene or whatever, was very controversial. She was on Tucker,
Yeah.
and I'd never heard her speak before.
Oh, wow, really?
Yeah, and she's pretty clever. And
She was a Crowdsource the Truth viewer before she became
is that right? Well,
Congresswoman.
Hats off to her. So anyway, she made the point that right now in the Senate, the Republicans technically control the Senate because there are 3 missing Democrats.
Where'd they go?
They're either sick or whatever. And what the Democrats would do under these circumstances is they would say, all right, fuck you, we control the Senate now, redo all the committees. And Republicans are just, Lindsey Graham is there deciding.
He's an idiot.
Right, Linda Graham, and he's deciding, what cocktail party he's going to go to next. And I use that phrase advisedly, because sadly I think it doesn't involve just liquor. And Republicans have no spine. So,
Did you just yell like that? It's very loud.
yeah, let's let him go by.
Yeah. Maybe consider shutting up. I thought that was a baby that did that
It
yelling.
was
Well,
a baby brain. Here's the famous St. Thomas Church I told you about, Jason.
I forgot what's famous about it.
Across the street from. And that used to be. What did that used to be over there?
Microsoft store?
No, next to it used to be the Elizabeth Arden, was it?
Oh, I don't know.
I think so.
Yeah, it's gone.
Yeah, gone and forgotten.
It's just totally amazing how many things are out of business.
Yeah. What about this place? What was this?
That's been out for quite a while.
I know, but this is prime location.
I
here.
know.
mean, yeah. Buckman Tower. Coach.
Well, and then the other thing is, like, when a place like Coach is open, I just wonder to what extent that corporation says, well, you know what, it's losing a ton of cash, but it's going to be a bad look for the company if our Fifth Avenue store closes. Let's just...
So Coach was sold. The guy who pioneered the Coach thing sold out in about 1984.
What do you mean pioneered it? It's just leather goods, right?
It was novel when he came up with the idea. And anyway, he sold out to a big company. I forget what the name of it was. It was one of those,
Like owns all luxury
it's probably
brands.
not that. No, it was just, one big conglomerate, whatever. And he decided that he wanted to get into the business of making goat cheese.
Goat cheese?
Yeah.
What?
Which was not readily available in the United States in the 80s.
I think there's a reason for that.
It's actually pretty good. And he went ahead and he you know, being the guy, he had like $80 million and didn't live there. And he you know, imported
Goats?
Well, yeah, and people from France who knew how to make the cheese and set up this gigantic operation about 1.5 miles from my first property.
Oh, wow.
And I got to know the daughter, and they said, listen, you've got a whole bunch of land you're not using.
You want some goats?
No, can we take the hay off your fields and use it to feed our goats? And I said, okay, you're not gonna charge me for that, are you? No, we'll just take it away. And with our climate, you have 2 or 3 cuttings of hay. You typically have one by May, and you can have 3 actually, but at least 2. And on the southern property that I was paying, you know, I don't know, a fair amount of money, in the tens of thousands per year.
To clear away that hay.
Clear away the stuff. And
yeah, somebody on Shark Tank a while back had a business. They were going to rent you goats to do exactly what you're talking about.
Well, this wasn't the goats doing it. They would take tractors through and they'd take the hay and feed it to the goats.
Oh, these guys will bring the goats to you.
Right.
Direct. They cut out the middleman.
And let me guess, the name of the company was Goat U?
No, Rent a Goat.
Rent a Goat? Okay.
I think.
So one of these used to be that one there used to be the old location of Rizzoli Books.
Empty now.
Right here.
Work in progress.
Really, I mean, if you like books, which maybe you don't, but I do, I mean, there's a real difference between, well, I'm just saying for a very well-bound book with a nice cover and whatever, and limited edition.
Well, it's bound to happen, Charles.
And there's Trump Tower.
There it is.
They're like, we don't give a shit about him. He's the ex-president. No security for you.
Well, I don't even think he's in there.
I know,
the rubber Trump is not there.
But if you wanted to make a statement, you know, you'd attack Trump.
I think they're over him now. They just want to prevent him from being candidate in 2024.
You saw the latest yesterday? Some idiot who was in the DA's office resigned in a big huff.
And he left a letter that he's definitely guilty.
And again, that's just such a anybody.
Well, one idiot saying that. That's not an investigation.
No, the principle is all people are innocent until proven guilty. The government does not have the right
to make an announcement.
To say, you know, you're guilty even though there isn't a trial, you haven't defended yourself, there are no charges, no grand jury, no nothing. You just don't have that right. And to the extent you're going to abuse that right, it just makes the argument for people like me who will say you should be barred from holding any kind of office of responsibility and trust because you obviously don't know how to handle it dispassionately.
Well, and this is what upset me about the answer from Ketanji Brown about refusing to answer what a woman is. We have to acknowledge empirical facts.
Well, I would just go back as you know, the internet she's losing that argument. Go back to the Kavanaugh hearing. Believe all women. If you can't identify,
I don't even know who they are. Right?
You know, believe all women. Okay, this person over here won't even tell us what a woman is. So how can I believe somebody? You know, if you had a real honest, which you don't, Saturday Night Live. I mean, what a field day you could have with the bathrooms and, you know, opening doors for people and just all the funny shine you could throw against people who are not prepared to say there's a difference between men and women. And really what I think is the biggest problem with this is the lack of tolerance. And when we go back into...
What do you mean? Tolerance by who? For what?
Well, the trans community, for example, if you won't toe the line, you get canceled, right? And that's what's happened to the Babylon Bee, and that's what's happened.
Right.
So if you go back, and this is obviously, I'm not an historian, and I didn't stay at Equality Inn, so I'm not playing one. But if you go simplistically through recent history, back to the Gutenberg Press, prior to then, and there's a very interesting book called double entry that I'm reading. It really is truly fascinating about how the Venetians...
It's about accounting or pornography?
Easy, Jess. Easy. It's a family show we got here. Get your mind out of the gutter.
I'm distracting you with that comment, Charles.
So it's all about how the Venetians in, I think, the 1300s invented this approach for accounting that was revolutionary.
Oh, we gotta leave here.
Let's go to the right. Sorry. And it has been used to this day. And interesting, the book explains that back in Rome, the Roman Empire, it was the responsibility of all merchants and all people with wealth. You had to keep books and records of your own personal wealth, which I didn't know until I read this book. But anyway, going back to the press, this book points out that the Catholic Church suppressed dissemination of knowledge they had in their libraries and elsewhere for 300 years or longer.
Yeah.
That would have been very important for 10 generations of people who are still dead and never had the benefit of stuff that people knew in the olden days. So when the press came around, there was a period of time where the sovereigns, the leaders of the different countries said, okay, you can use the press, but if you want to use the press to make a book, we have to license every publisher. And in the UK, they did that, and so that was one of the means by which...
Controlling knowledge.
So for the founders to say, as they did, that it was important, that freedom of speech was extremely important, they understood this history, and the numbnuts who were pretending to be professors, as the nutty professors of the hoary Ivy League campi, as Rush Limbaugh used to refer to them, they don't understand this history that you can't have, nobody is smart enough. There's no system smart enough to regulate everybody's opinion in real time.
Well, Twitter is trying to do that.
But nobody's that smart.
Anti-American jackass.
There's no AI or anything smart enough. And indeed, the approach the founders envisaged, I'm not saying they envisaged Twitter, but was to let people talk and express opinions and controversial opinions, because the people who try to express controversial opinions who are proven in the end right can be led to violence if their speech is suppressed. If they truly believe that we're in a ruinous course and nobody will listen, you end up with these crazy people. And so they thought, no, let everybody speak. And I was thinking we'll go up to like 62nd or 3rd.
Look at this, Charles.
Wow.
This is an array of NYPD equipment that I don't know that I've necessarily seen before.
Yeah. I'm sure it's benign.
Oh, yeah.
If you have nothing to hide, you won't mind.
Right.
Right. So they envisaged this idea that everybody would talk and share opinions, and out of all that, up would come stuff that would eventually be useful, and knowledge would be advanced, and in particular, on the campi, that's where you really have centers of excellence in learning. And instead we have that troll, that douchebag, which I'm sure will get silenced because I just said that, who runs Twitter now, is a fucking idiot.
He is. Terrible.
And Tucker reamed him out on his show last night. I mean...
Was he playing the guy where he had some sort of recording where he's saying...
That's him. That's it.
We don't like the First Amendment?
Yeah, that's the guy.
That's shameful.
Yeah, and again, he's this idea, and Klaus Anal Schwab, with the idea that there's too much misinformation out there, and he's sitting there in his Star Trek outfit.
Well, but also I'm sure he believes, well, we can't possibly know who a woman is, and that's information. Anything else is misinformation.
Right. Again, we don't need these people who are creating roles for themselves. We don't need a hall monitor to go over the body politic and say that your opinion is wrong and mine's right and somebody else is. Let everybody look at all these different points of view. I've learned in my long years of thinking about things that you may think something is 100% correct or close to it, but
and then realize later you're wrong.
Until you understand that people are very adept at setting the context for a debate. So they focus you in on a period and tell you don't look at this period that preceded or this country that's not relevant when it is relevant. Take, for example, when they divided up the known world in 1492, and the Pope said, I think that's the Treaty of Tordesillas. Celia. Is that your car?
That's a Maserati with Maryland plates. Is it Joe Manchin?
I don't know.
But he's from West Virginia.
Yeah, but he might live in Maryland.
And he definitely has that Maserati.
This is a nice office building. It's Hedge Fund Row here. So when they divided the world up, the theory was that the Portuguese were allowed to take, one set of colonies and the Spanish another, anything that wasn't settled. And so the theory was there were no settlements. But now when you look back into history, Cahokia in Illinois and other places, there were settlements in America that were considerably more advanced than London prior to 1492. London wasn't that big. Yeah, London wasn't all that big in 1492. And so...
And they had like cholera, didn't they? Some kind of water pump?
Where?
In London, there was some sort of cholera outbreak.
Yeah, exactly.
That David Hawkins talks about the handle. Here's your electric Porsche, Charles.
There you go. Looks nice. Styling. She's off to the mink store.
Taycan.
I think she's a proud member of the Second Wife Club. It's a bet. Just as a bet. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. So long as they treat children of the first marriage nicely, nothing wrong with that.
I'm sure that's
rare. Yeah, it's extremely rare.
From people I know.
Absolutely, yeah. The first mission is to
get the money.
As that guy Bernie, what was his name? Bernie Mac?
Yeah.
Boarding school. but the kid's 3 years old. Boarding school.
He died, didn't he?
He did.
Pretty young.
He was funny.
He was. There was another guy named Robin. I forget his name. Had that thing about went to pick up some woman and she's got all these kids and he has to take them to Disneyland and it was Bebe's kids. You remember that?
I don't.
It was funny as hell. It was very difficult to understand what that guy was saying. He was like the Ebonics ambassador. Oh, Charles, here's a lovely dress.
Yeah.
I can't tell if that's for a woman.
Again, how can you do that? And how do you know it's a dress?
I'm not a biologist, Charles.
You're also not a
I'm not a fashion designer, right?
I'm not a car mechanic.
Yeah, I can't comment on any of this.
Yeah, you get to the airport, and the guy, the customs person or the Department of Homeland Security person says, well, are you carrying any weapons? Well, I'm not an armorer. I wouldn't know.
I don't know. Say, where are you flying to today? What am I, an aviation engineer?
I'm not a geographer.
I'm walking.
Yeah.
I don't know what you're doing.
What would you like to drink? I'm not. You just take that to the Monty Python level.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. That crap in the Senate was like absurdity. And these are supposed to be serious people. And the thing that we're joking about it, of course.
Right.
But the thing that makes me so upset is when I get sanctioned by a judge for violating a stipulated protective order that I didn't violate. And we want to deal in facts or we want to deal in your stupid opinion of something that didn't actually happen.
I think that it's the
second. Yeah.
The second one. It's the second thing, Jason, not the first thing.
But people should be very concerned that we are even remotely close to considering a person who's going to make judgments that will affect all of our lives.
Whose thought process is so obviously
who
flawed.
with a straight face tells you that she cannot describe to you what a woman is.
Have you been here?
No.
Very good Italian food.
But it was one of the first places I went by when they first closed for the lockdown and had these bears with masks on.
Yeah. No, it's very good food though. Extremely overpriced.
Well.
But good.
I don't think I'll go there.
Better be good. Let's go down 63rd here.
Sure.
I want to check something, see if this place I know is still open. Now I know you're building up an account over there at Chopard.
Huh?
For wife number 3. Get the.
Oh.
That's seriously expensive shit.
Hang on a second. Those guys, they're in the standing around and looking at what the other guy is doing union.
Right. So let's just look at the window here and see if any of this tickles your fancy.
What is
Let's
this?
look. This is really expensive jewelry, French, I think, jewelry.
Nah.
You know, I have a friend who's South African who's in the diamond business, and he just laughs at this shit. He just basically says, you know, you don't waste a second going into a store like that. Come with me. You know, it's 70% margin on that stuff.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
this is the site. This is used to be the Lowell Hotel here is very expensive.
I have a friend named Lowell.
Yeah. Well.
Doesn't own this hotel.
But this
As
is,
far as I
and
know.
they used to have this restaurant here. Used to be the Post House. Now let's see what it's called. But it used to be a great steakhouse.
We're entering the post house era, Charles.
Just please use other door. Oh, but this was
Ron
actually,
Maison something? Majorelli or something?
and this is Ron Pearlman's house.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And he's downsizing.
Wow, it's like a castle.
It's gigantic.
Nice
Yeah.
doorknobs.
It goes all the way from the Lowell all the way to 38, I think.
93 Society?
And he has had a series
Got
of
the mezuzah.
Yeah, well, he's Jewish. And he's got, he's the guy who bought Revlon,
Yeah, and Technicolor.
and he had all sorts, he was riding high, and then he got over leveraged, and he's had to sell his yachts and his jets and his
I have a
homes.
negative opinion of Technicolor.
Yeah. And here, I forget which one it is, I think that, with the flag, that's something called the Leash Club. I've been in there, that's a club for dog lovers.
Ah,
And this is the building that I put the bid in here, 570. Thank God I didn't get it. Right here.
this is Sotheby's is selling this.
Is pretending they're selling it, because who's going
Trying.
to buy that? You know.
It's porta potty adjacent.
But
Man,
this,
that's a lot of sawing.
yeah, this is very well located building. Thank God, as I say, I didn't see the lobby there. It's pretty nice. You didn't look. That's okay.
Sorry. I'm sometimes paying attention to other things that aren't
Okay.
necessarily obvious.
That is unacceptable. All right. Do we want to go down Lex or Park?
Just somewhere where it's not so windy. That was terrible.
Let's try. This is okay. So far, so good. So this is prime residential in the old days, to the extent you wanted to stay here in New York. I mean, the situation in New York, near me, there's somebody who bought a townhouse and fixed it up, after like 3 years of fixing it up, and really must have spent, I would estimate, at least $6 million on construction, maybe 10.
Wow.
And the other day I walked out of my building, and some bunch of assholes had taken all the garbage that this person had put in bags, recycling bag and this bag, whatever, on the street, and just ripped open every bag. 10 bags worth of garbage strewn all over the street in front of this townhouse. And the person who has the townhouse has these 2 younger kids who are, yelling and screaming all the time. That's fine, they're little kids. But to have to, go out your front door, and the first thing you see is all this garbage on the street. And of course, nobody's going to do anything about it.
No. I mean, the saddest part of a story like that, Charles, is that there are people who want to use their time and their hands and their effort to spread garbage around.
Right.
Who does that benefit?
They become the President of the United States.
Well, I mean, in all seriousness, it's like there are a lot of people who expend so much energy
Right.
to put misery into the world.
They're
I
misery
really
merchants.
think those people should die.
They're miserable. Well, good news, Jason, they're all gonna. So this is the Regency. This is Power Breakfast. It's owned by the Tisch family. And
Oh, yeah?
one time I was in here with a friend for lunch who actually worked for the Tisches. And we're sitting there talking, just the two of
Oh,
us.
wait, let's just enjoy the heat for a second.
They keep
You're
going.
sitting there, and then what happened?
Sitting there, and they let loose a gigantic explosion from the nether regions of a sitting guest.
Flatulence?
Very large. I mean, it wasn't
Wow.
flatulence. It was like
Is the person
it was a
deaf?
sonic boom, and it turned out to be Larry King.
Oh, wow.
who apparently was well known for having that problem on the set.
Hey, Charles, I'm a little flatulent.
No, he's well known. He was for having that problem, and now he's still
Now
there. It
he's
was pretty
dead.
funny. He was checking in one day, as I was.
That's a diet problem.
Yeah, probably having too many beans, but he was checking into Fox for an appointment at the same time I was, and he had a minder with him, and he was take his wallet out. He started passing the minder 50s and 100s and 20s.
Why?
Whatever.
For what?
And I said, Mr. King, I'll take my cut. He thought that was pretty fun. Didn't give me any money.
That's pretty funny, Larry King. Prince Waleed, were you surprised Giuliani didn't take the money? Yes, Larry, I was very surprised.
Prince Waleed should rot in hell.
Scumbag.
Well,
So he's also behind Twitter.
he's a shareholder, a small
But
shareholder.
Twitter is a giant shit pile. I don't think that can be overemphasized.
You like it?
Well, I also want to remind people that the CEO of the Emmys from 2010 to 2016 was an executive at Twitter. And the Twitter town hall with Barack Obama was this guy's brainchild.
Brain fart?
Yeah.
I think in concept, Twitter and these other operations that offer you something for free without telling you the value they derive of your time using their service, that's a deal that shouldn't be allowed. It's not unlike...
But they shouldn't be able to just change the rules at will and be
Right.
like, thanks for helping build our business for 5 years, F off.
Well, you know, I don't particularly like Mayor Mike, but when he went to the city and said, you know, to help people with eating problems, we're going to force every menu to say how much, whatever calories, and I don't know what they're doing now for each piece of food, so you can have somewhat more of an educated decision.
Right.
That same set of rules, you can like it, dislike it, whatever, but I think it should apply to these social media things.
I agree.
And things like them. Any of these free, when somebody is giving you something for free, it's not because they're philanthropists.
Right.
And
It's a trick.
wow,
What?
maybe this is not James Robinson.
Well, I was looking at this lamp. It's quite ornate.
Maybe it will go down. Maybe James Robinson is one block down.
What was this?
Well, I thought it might have been James Robinson, but maybe James Robinson is down there. We'll see.
Isn't he the guy who hangs out with Winnie the Pooh?
No, James Robinson, I think it's still there. It's a very fancy silversmith and
Oh, right.
knick-knack crap. But that,
They should have to tell you what you're getting for
right,
free.
and you know, the origins of Twitter. I mean, who funded it? Should they have the, whatever it is, the type of protection they claim they,
CD 230.
should they have that, yes or no?
That thing's got to be updated.
Right.
Not
And-
abolished, like Trump said. He said some things
Right.
that are remarkably ignorant
Right.
and hired some people that demonstrate remarkable
Yeah.
ignorance.
Well, and so, yeah, I agree. But,
Bill Barr, I'm thinking about.
yeah, not the only one.
Not the only one.
And not to mention Jefferson Sessions. But
What happened to him? He disappeared
he's
off
still
the face
old
of the
and
earth.
still in Alabama, and the guy who's running for Senate, I think, Trump dissed him.
Oh, yeah.
So we'll see more. We'll see whether Jefferson Sessions climbs back out of the swamp to run again.
That was a bank, I think.
And here's a I don't know how much these pillows and pillowcases and sheets are, but I can guarantee you that this stuff
Better
is
than
a
Mike
lot
Lindell?
more expensive than my pillow.
Well, I was going to tell you, I saw this morning Parler, you know, that Twitter alternative,
Yeah.
it now says Parler brought to you by My Pillow.
Oh God.
Yeah, so I mean,
Here's James Robinson coming up. Those are like $1,000 eyeglasses.
I was going to say, that looks like a very expensive
It is.
glasses place.
So yeah, here's James Robinson.
Oh, yeah.
Just
We
see.
live by here.
They don't appear to have my pattern in the window, but it's nice stuff. I mean, it's extremely overpriced.
Cufflinks.
Very expensive and nice plates and things like that. There's actually something called S. Jeans Silversmith, which I don't know if it's still around, on 46th Street. We can even walk by it, actually, on the way home. And 45th and 46th. And they are the nation's largest clearinghouse of used silver. And so you can, instead of buying it there at full margin, you go over to S. Jeans and you get it. Something I learned after about 8 place settings.
That's a little bit.
And here's the, this is also very expensive, French stuff.
Baby clothing?
Yeah, I remember when I was in Paris, my firstborn graced us, and I thought, well, I'll go into Christian Dior and get a children's suit, you know, for this young thing.
But in a week, it's going to be twice the size, the kid.
Well, and it was like $1,800.
Oh,
I said,
yeah, you don't
I
need
think
that.
not. I think not. Well, we're not. This is back in '88.
How do you think this rare coin, this is Saks, right?
Stacks.
Stacks, whatever.
Stacks.
But this is,
The Copper Coins of Vermont. That's the kind of book that, you know, you can see the books on the shelves there. These are the kind of books I like. You know, books that nobody owns.
well, I was going to say, the Copper Coins of Vermont.
Well, like two other people in
How
the
is that
world.
more than a pamphlet?
No, because there are a lot of them.
Well, okay, better question. Who
There's a
cares?
whole book on the 1880, well, if you're a collector, Jason. And this
Whoa.
$2.3 million
What? From the year 17.
Hunter probably bought it.
That seems remarkably expensive to me.
Again-
I'm more interested in having silver and gold coins that are like from today, that are worth like, you know, $10. Because I think my dollars are going to be worth nothing pretty soon.
Well, yeah, if you're buying it because you're thinking about Armageddon,
Yeah.
what you want is something that,
Bullets?
well, no, if you want a coin that's worth $50 or $100 today, because if it's Armageddon, you're not going to be able to sell a $2,000 coin today for less than a wheelbarrow full of something.
Well, that's what I mean. That's the problem, is that you get one of these, they're selling these things that are like $2,000. First of all, that's a lot of money. Second of all, yeah, how you break it in. I need something that's like $5.
Right. This is just pathetic that on the corner of 57th and Park, you have nothing.
Well, let's look at it. Everything is out.
Over there is that fancy Four Seasons Hotel.
Uh-huh. There's Citibank, and then I guess that McLowe Gallery is still in.
Maclo, yeah. Mac Daddy Gallery. This,
Yeah.
I think the people who are in here have just moved to an adjacent space.
Pretty foggy today.
It is, and we're missing. I mean, I'm sure that Thucydides Biden is there giving a speech that's so enthralling. It's got people in rapturous joy. Oh, he's graced us with wisdom again.
Here's your Ferrari station wagon, Charles.
Not for me.
It's a weird thing, isn't it?
No, it's like new Coke.
Looks like a shoe.
Yeah, it's just like, no. It's an earth shoe.
Charles, I want to show you the new proposed design. No. Luigi, you're fired.
Yeah, get the fuck out of here.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, it's more for you.
Yeah, I don't particularly like that kind of sport wagon look.
That's right. This lavender suit will go very well with your pink underwear.
Yeah, people are saying you can't eat coins. No, I know.
Yeah.
But if you had, you know, some silver
Well-
or whatever kind of coins that were worth $5 or $10.
Well, that's a good point. I mean, what people don't understand yet is we're about to have a food crisis.
Yeah.
Because right now it's in the South, American South, you're in planting season already. And if your fertilizer sources are not there, you're going to make, you know, in your big farmer, you're going to be making calculations about should I plant, should I not plant, what should I plant?
You're actually right in line with the comments. Someone is saying that seeds could be more valuable than gold or silver.
Yeah.
That's a good idea. Maybe I'll buy some seeds.
Well, the a
Do they
smart,
last?
They can, sure. I mean, but I think that a smart thing to be thinking about is to own property. As President Biden, Putin is getting the opposite of what he intended. How do you know? How
That's
the
on
fuck
the
do you
news
know?
here. Well, because they arrive at this foregone conclusion that's incorrect. This is how the system works.
Bitcoin's up 3.9%, Jason.
Is it?
Yep, and the Dow is up 270. There's
Actually, this says 4.2% up and 4.72 for Ethereum. People can actually still sponsor Crowdsource the Truth using Bitcoin and Ethereum. And there are NFTs that people can buy using Ethereum.
Andrea Mitchell. This is,
I love it how the news now consists of everybody sitting in their sloppy living room.
Right. And this is, at least we're outside. This is Ameritrade here.
Oh, yeah?
And
there's the Ferrari
your
place.
favorite shop. My office building over there. That's a sporty looking car there.
Yeah, that's
Silver one.
Definitely.
What do you think that's going to cost?
They're all insanely expensive, and they're now doing, these hybrid supercar deals. So this is the Portofino.
I love Portofino in Italy.
And what does it say, if you have to ask? I got to tell you something, Charles. If you were serious about buying a Ferrari, I do not recommend a V8. If you're going to buy a Ferrari, you need a 12-cylinder Ferrari, and that's the end of that discussion.
Okay, but I mean, this is it's a sweet-looking car, but of course, for somebody like me, I would sit in that car, and my head would be above the windshield, and that doesn't work.
No.
Yeah.
They've designed these for people playing basketball and stuff.
Well, I don't know. I mean, that one right there, I can tell, unless you can move the seat down. I was looking at, I had a friend in college who had one.
Wow.
And the used
I
one.
bet you that's worth a hell of a lot of money now.
Maybe, but the used one.
Do you remember what model it was?
I don't. But the used Ferraris back then in Denver, where he lived, were not that expensive.
Oh, I'm sure, because that whole, there's cars that within my lifetime were worth $30,000.
That's what they were, yeah.
Yeah, that are like $1 million now. We did a 3D thing at the that Concourse d'Elegance at Pebble Beach.
My friend is a co-founder of that.
Well, I'll tell you something. That thing is a lot of fun to go to.
Is it really?
If you like cars and walk around all day.
Yeah, his name, and I don't know if he's still with it. Let's go to the right. His name is Andrew Carduner. What a good name for very funny guy.
I'm the Carduner.
Carduner.
Yeah, but this sounds better.
Yeah.
Well, here's a cop actually doing something.
You think?
I don't know if it's helping the city, but it's a good thing he's got the mask on the beard. Oh, somebody from New Jersey. Yeah, give them a ticket.
Yeah.
But
Andrew Carduner. What he used to do, he used to come in. We had this little breakfast place in Millbrook, and he was a car nut, so he had all kinds of nice cars. This, by the way, is, though it has the name Schumer, it's actually a very good liquor store. So if you're in New York and you need to get something you can't find, this place will find it for you.
What do you mean, like wine or some whiskey
Anything,
or something?
you name it, anything alcoholic.
Fancy.
Not outrageous prices either. Like, for example, that, without looking at it, 2005 for $75. I bet you in another liquor store that would be $150.
Huh.
Cake bread, that seems cheap actually. $50. I don't buy this kind of stuff, but this does seem very reasonably priced here. The experts can tell us.
Well, just back to your friend briefly in college and the Concours d'Elegance. Some of the Ferraris made in the 1960s are just absolutely. Oh well.
This Bill's Gay 90s is out. Wow.
If you get an opportunity to own a 1960s Ferrari, they're some of the most incredible from an artistic and engineering standpoint.
That hotel over there is called the Hotel Elysee. We used to refer to it as the Hotel Easy Lay.
Didn't they come out with some kind of like really trashy liquor called Alizé? And it was like
Christie's Sculpture Garden.
Well, and this is also where you told us that somebody was trying to make a waterfall that you fired or whatever.
Well, no, I didn't fire them. This over here.
You fired the waterfall.
This thing over here.
Didn't you somehow cancel it?
I didn't cancel it, but what this was, when we moved into this building in 1982, that was a signature feature of the building, and it was a waterfall. And we were all asked to come out. Dillon Reed took a whole bunch of floors in this, and so the president and everyone said, "Come on down, and we're going to have a chance to watch the opening of the waterfall." And, and people didn't realize that the water was rushing out of that thing and it just drenched everybody.
Okay, go home, everybody.
And
Early day.
Actually,
look who it is.
CIA. And so another time, actually, I was coming out of here, and I don't know if you remember the opening scene of Trains, Planes, and Automobiles. It was shot right here.
Oh, wow.
And it came around here and then down Park. At least they shot it that way. What ended up in the movie, I don't know. Another time I was with my boss, and who had been in the Olympics, 6'4" crew guy, and he didn't have a cell phone, but he was, I won't do it exactly, but he was walking along at high speed, just like, and he walked right into that pole at high speed and went boink. And we could see it coming, to see.
So it's Christie's Sculpture Garden. And then what's in that wood?
It's a restaurant, I guess. But this used to say the Dillon Reed building on it.
Huh.
And that over there, there still is, I think, an elevator to the right. It goes up to the 36th floor and only stops there, which is where our
That's your private
press and
elevator.
boardroom was and all that.
Oh, look at that. Harman Kardon.
But
Oh, yeah,
available.
it's out of business. That makes sense.
Princeton Lacrosse. This is this very expensive Swiss watch company.
Is it IWC? Yeah.
Again, Portofino over there. You ever been to Portofino?
I don't think so. It's in Italy?
Yeah, it's near Genoa. There's a hotel there called the Esplendido, which is so beautiful.
I've only been to Milan.
But the thing they're really into there is, what's that stuff? Pesto. They're like really into
I
pesto.
don't like that.
And I'm like,
It's too oily and
over there when I put my map collection together, there was up in that building there.
Peter Millar.
No, next to it, like in the second or third floor, there was a dealer in there. And so it was just like, I would roll out of here and I would come out and say, I need some more maps. And I go across the street and
Wait, let's go take a look at the Caviar Roost place and
Where's
see
that?
It's right here next to the map thing.
Let's see if we can get some Russian caviar.
Well, I just want to see what's going on there. Are people?
Well, we could ask for some Ukrainian caviar.
But they're like sanctioning like Lavrov's stepdaughter. What the hell did she do?
That's outrageous.
She probably has nothing to do with it.
I think they should sanction Jake Sullivan's scrawny
I
ass.
agree.
And
Well,
we'll see.
didn't Putin do that?
Yeah, well, we'll see. They definitely sanctioned Hillary, which is good.
And Joe.
And Joe. They should sanction Chelsea. That would be hilarious.
Where's Bill? We haven't heard anything from him in a little while.
Yeah, thank God. They're in the business on their press. They issue all these, every time somebody dies, they issue, they issue a press release saying, here's the Persian shop.
They've got, I was going to say, they got a whole little coalition. They're developing nuclear
So this
stuff
is where
in
they
here.
do the Iranian deal. They're
Right,
negotiating
exactly.
that here, and then they go over and they put
Have
the
the caviar.
caviar together.
Get your Iron Man handcuffs. Cufflinks.
Get these, women pants.
So what are they selling here? Caviar?
Caviar, yeah.
Wow,
Looks good.
it's impressive. They don't look Russian.
Yeah, that's good stuff. I love caviar. There's
That's really strange.
one of our friends had
Look,
connections.
there's a bar.
Oh yeah, it's great. It's great. It's probably watch it. It's should we go across 55th or what do you want to do?
Whatever.
I think it's going to be windy.
Getting windy, yeah.
So one of our friends had connections into Iran in the 90s, and in Paris there was a kind of like what's that? Not Citronella. What's the name of the store?
Citronella is a candle.
No. But what's the name of that like fancy shop? Name will come.
Citarella?
Citarella, yeah. So Citarella.
Actually, we still have this.
It's like Citarella, and it has. This is going to be quite slippery here. It has.
Crest Films is right over there.
What?
place I worked in college. Well, it used to be. Here's CIA again.
They're everywhere.
Yeah.
That's like they want you to be seen. So like, see the CIA, but
So
they're
the
not secret.
Cinderella did
So
what?
anyway, in Paris, there's a shop that specializes. Let's let the city you can buy it. That specializes in caviar and other things. The tap his cigarettes. It's not working. The cigarette diet thing's just not working for you, dude.
This is a picture of health, Charles.
I don't think so. And so you could go in there. This is in like '95. You'd buy a large canister of caviar would be $500.
Wow.
And I remember one meal we had in Paris where that's all we had.
It's
It was
not
so
really-
good.
But I mean, is that a meal?
It's a big meal. A lot of, I mean, the amount that I bought.
It's like
So
eating
this-
dots. It's like eating dots.
No. If you have the toast and you have the,
No,
that
eggs and
stuff,
onions
yeah,
and everything.
yeah.
It's nice, it is.
and you have wine, you have vodka, you have this and that.
Yeah, when I went to Ukraine, there was a lot of caviar involved. We did like a kind of a, not a bachelor party, but I went out with my ex-brother-in-law, you know, all his friends, and none of them spoke English, and I didn't speak Russian.
So you just said, I speak caviar.
Well, we went to this, like, I don't know how you would, I guess it was the Banya. It was like a Russian bathhouse,
Oh wow.
but it was like a men's club, right? There were not strippers or anything, but like
You'd
pool
hope.
table and booze, like crazy booze,
Oh, yeah.
and lots of food, including like really weird fatty spreads.
Let's just soak up the alcohol.
Right, and then the massage is this dude
No.
whipping you with sticks,
Did
and then cold water.
your brother-in-law like you, or was this kind of like?
I was not completely sure what was going
Let's see
on.
if we beat the shit out of this dude. Whether
Yeah.
we'll go back to New York, leave my sister alone.
Right. No, he and I had as good a relationship as two people who can't speak the same language could have.
So is that good? couldn't
I liked him. I had no issue at all, and I think he liked me. And they have all moved to the United States and speak English now.
That's nice.
And apparently my former nephew, who was 10 when I met him, remembers me and all that.
That's good.
Yeah.
Very good. Well, here we are. We're walking down Madison Avenue, and you see again scaffolding everywhere.
I bought him a Lego set. I think that's why.
You bribed them. It's like
Well, you know.
bribery works. Oh, you're in
I'm
Ukraine.
coming to visit him. I'm
Yeah,
his
of
uncle
course,
and
yeah.
everything. And here's a Lego set.
That's the old. Used to be the Helmsley Palace. Now what is it called? The Lottie New York Palace. But I was in the bar with a friend the day in August '98 when Clinton confessed to having an inappropriate relationship with Monica Lewinsky. And this was at a time the markets were not strong, so the bar was pretty empty. But in there was the Australian ambassador to the UN.
Wow.
Who was right next with. I was
It's
standing.
amazing that you would recognize that
No,
person.
he was on TV a lot, so I knew who he was. He's there with his wife. I was there with a friend, and Clinton starts talking, and this guy says, "That motherfucker."
In the bar, he's saying that?
He lied straight to my face. That motherfucking puke bastard. Yeah, it was amazing. I said, "Dude, you're a diplomat. You might want to
Well, this is being
dial
diplomatic.
it back a little."
It was Leona Helmsley they
Yeah.
called the Queen of Mean, right?
Taxes are for little people. Probably Hillary Clinton's mentor.
She did have a really mean, nasty look on her
God,
face.
yeah. New York City real estate's a tough business.
Right,
She's still gone.
right.
Their estate in Greenwich was on the market for $125 million.
Wow.
Waterfront, beautiful, old though.
Yeah.
Couldn't sell it.
Well, because probably something like that needs so much money to fix it and maintain
I'm sure
it.
the taxes are off the charts.
Right, there's a lot of...
And it's not like, you own a place like that. It's not like you got a problem with the roof and the roof guy comes over and says, "Oh, I'll give you a really good
Yeah,
price."
exactly.
You can't trust me. I wouldn't take advantage of you.
It doesn't seem like something
What's going on here, guys?
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, I guess
So I don't know. It seems that Batman movie came out and didn't really
didn't do well.
set the world on. I don't know. I haven't heard.
No movies seem. I mean, you can't convince me to go to a movie.
Yeah.
I mean, I used to actually like the experience of getting out. I love the previews.
I hear you. And
Yeah.
I was going to see that Batman movie, and I was like, I just don't want to go.
Yeah. Well, here you can relocate here, Jason. There's plenty of
Ooh,
space.
that dude smelled
That
like
guy-
a lot of booze.
That's the 18 martini lunch. He's probably getting geared up for the 4 o'clock Irish coffee.
I can't imagine you could fill a sponge with booze and it would smell more boozy than that guy.
Yeah. Mr. Boozy.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, look at these scaffoldings everywhere. You know, it's just not. Doesn't give you a sense. I mean, I remember when New York in the late 80s,
The Turbo Chill Company.
when New York was, there were project after project, and people were getting excited. Companies were moving back. Headquarters were booming. Life was opening up.
We're in the
you had to
opposite of that now.
Yeah, this is like welcome to hell. It's like that Rowan Atkinson
Yeah.
hilarious skit. You can call me Toby. I'm going to be here for quite a long time. You better get comfortable.
Yeah.
That's a funny skit. I think Rowan Atkinson's going to play Zelensky in whatever movie comes eventually.
Well, he's a little too old now.
Makeup.
I don't know, Zelensky. He's just still. What happened to their plan to have a peace meeting in Israel?
I think he's really jumped the shark a little bit here with all these video requests for more money. It's getting to
Right.
be like, My Pillow or
He's like, just send us guns and money.
yeah.
Oh,
Don't worry about my wife over here and her LLC.
and if you have an 8-ball, send that.
Right. Don't tell my wife, but if you got any beautiful twins,
Right.
I promise they could be in our intern program.
Yeah.
That's the ticket. Bill
No.
Clinton's advising me on that.
Now accepting cash, weapons, and booze.
This is going to be, I mean, look at this building here. Wow. It's JP
Well, I
Morgan's
mean,
headquarters.
And
Look
we've been
at the
wondering if
understructure
they're
there.
Constructing it or deconstructing
Now
it.
this is going up now. Look at that steel. Jesus Christ. That's some big ass steel.
It's just a very strange thing.
I think it's going to be a big, driveway atrium or something underneath the building.
Maybe.
It's hope they did the math correctly. Like
I hope. It
You
looks
put all
like the
this-
thing's going to topple.
you go in there the first day, it's like the waterfall experience.
Yeah.
I want to welcome you to my new building. Where's? Oh, it's just like this.
Right.
Where's Jamie?
Under the rubble.
We'll be able to find him for the rest of the time, but look at this building is kind of should be knocked down as well. Let's go across 47th, and then we'll go down 5th and see if we can't find that. I think it's
Sure.
to see the contrast to James Robinson. If it's still there, it may not be there
At least it's not windy over here.
yet. Mr.
All right.
Magoo's. Oh, no. Baggies. Guy was smoking some weed. Always
Yeah.
a smart thing to do in the middle of a day.
Well, I guess he's.
This used to be the Swedenborgians, whatever they are.
What's that
And
flag?
it's gone. It's the Swedengonzians.
Algeria.
This?
This.
That's Algeria, but this used to be some religious sect, a mercantile library, and down here it used to be something called I never did figure out what the Swedenborgians were.
Or you could call Gary. He'll know.
His uncle works at Twitter.
So here's the Consulate General of Algeria.
Yeah. It's like never open.
Well, it looks like you need some sort of like password, and then this thing will bim, scala bim, and it'll open it up and you get in there. Duck, you have desecrated the genie of the lamp.
There's an old-fashioned stationery shop. That thing's been around forever. Look at this thing, Jason.
Katsuhama.
Oh, here.
Yeah.
This is
Still,
your old-fashioned,
office supplies.
right? I mean, this is ancient. They invested exactly 16 cents on the decorations.
Yeah, I'm surprised this store can stay competitive with
Phil
staples
Stationery.
and stuff.
Just above it is Judy's World Travel. You know.
Come on now, this can't be real. Someone's up there like, Judy, I need some tickets to Miami Beach.
Yeah, I'm going to Paramus.
Listen, Bubba.
What time does the bus leave for Paramus?
Yeah. I don't know what the hell is going on over here, Charles. Here's Alice's Diner. Also not looking too good.
It's pretty quiet here, actually, if you think about it.
Oh, somebody, I saw a video, did an interesting, I don't know, people, this is what's interesting about YouTube. So many people have so much time. This dude took these Apple AirTags, which
Right.
is some kind of new thing that uses like mesh, Bluetooth, something or other, but you can track stuff with it.
Right.
And so he mailed something to North Korea with DHL
Right.
and then tracked it with these AirTabs or whatever. And he said the DHL was totally lying to him about where all his stuff was going. Doesn't that make you want to buy shitty food from this guy
Yeah, of
even
course.
more? Breaking the law by broadcasting music louder than you're allowed to.
Well, I'm sure he would put extra care into the food and the slop. What kind of slop do you want? You want lamb slop?
That
Chicken
guy looks like
slop?
he's going to pull a grapefruit knife out of his shoe
Or a
and shank
grenade.
somebody with it.
He's on, you know, he's one of these guys who doesn't want to go anywhere near the post office. His picture's up on the wall. Yeah. I mean,
Impossible is nothing, according to Adidas.
I'm amazed that, you know, that there's so much vacant stuff, and then somebody's knocking crap down to put up more stuff that likely will be vacant.
Well,
Yeah,
but
it's
don't they have to have started that well before the?
I guess, but I mean, so we'll go. Yeah, it's 45th Street. We'll go across 45th. We can go back down 7th or something if you want.
Let's see if anybody has any comments they'd like us
Here's Barnes and Ignoble.
Yep. Where Laura yelled at Comey.
Get your you want to stop? I'll wait for you to get your COVID-19 test.
Nah, that's all right. Well, before we started rolling, Charles, we noticed somebody in one of these COVID-19 tents had a tip jar out.
Yeah. Right.
That's outrageous.
Well, I'll give you
to me.
15% of free.
Angela says, "Are you my father, Charles?" That's quite an insult.
Nice.
I'd say you're old enough to be my older brother or
I
possibly
could
a
technically
young
be your
uncle.
father, but I would have had to start pretty young.
You're like 16 years older than me.
Right. I'm saying I would have had to start pretty young. Back in the hood.
Exactly.
Here's Barnes and Noble. Let's see what they're featuring. From startup to grown-up. Interesting.
So someone's asking a question about John Mark Dugan, and it's a good question because he and I have been doing shows on Thursdays. I was in touch with him this morning, and his plans are changing. I don't want to say too much about
Right.
what he's told me about where he's going, but someone just made a comment that he appears to be joining the fight. Yeah, that does appear to be.
It's dangerous.
I agree, it's very dangerous.
So we'll go, it's on the south side of the street, so we'll go across here. It's possible that the store is gone.
Well, somebody's asking where is Sam Ash?
Sam Ash?
That's on 34th Street. It's over by B&H Photo. I
On
buy
8th or something?
sometimes.
8th Avenue or something?
Huh?
Sam, it's a music store?
Yeah, I get some sound stuff there every now and then. I want to shop there because I don't want these type of places to go out of business, because then when it's Saturday and you need something, you won't be able to get it.
This is the high maintenance club here.
Yeah, that was interesting. People didn't get to see that.
So yeah, it would appear there's a scaffolding here, and that this site was pretty lowbrow.
Yeah,
It's like
hang on
these
a
people,
second.
Germans.
Verizon
bring
got
up
a
the war.
ticket.
Hey, this is just your style, Jason. Get pixelated.
Fluffy sandals.
Yeah, I'll call bullshit on this one. Wendy's quality is our recipe.
No, I dislike Wendy's.
Yeah, well, it's actually distinguished itself in theory from McDonald's in that the beef is fresh.
That's what I was going to say. I think their angle is they never freeze it.
Yeah, no, they don't.
But it doesn't matter. I mean, that's like saying, I'm going to make you a hamburger out of fecal matter or previously frozen.
Yeah, it would appear that this
matter.
is gone. It used to be in here somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, look at this.
Yeah, it used to be.
Retail carnage. Warning, rodent bait. Restaurant space available.
Here it is. Nice jeans.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. This was an incredible place. Look at that.
What were they selling?
Just like James Robinson. But you can see, if you look in here, I mean, when you looked up at the ceiling, this is a place that never
Got rid of the tin ceiling?
the original, the tin ceiling had fallen down. It was like,
Wow.
It was such a wreck.
Huh.
But that was a true national treasure. I mean, it was.
It was a wreck, I thought.
Well, no, they passed the price. They didn't waste money on this and that. And so a James Robinson fork, which is now $300 or something, would be $100 there.
Well, here's our future, Charles. The Grand Vegan opening.
On the fly.
On the fly.
I don't want any food on my fly.
But technically, flies are not vegan. You can't eat flies.
Yeah, well, you will there.
No, that's not vegan.
Let's see. The Dawson.
That's meat.
There used to be a cheap Chinese place. I think that's gone. And this is the back of the Harbor Club.
Oh, interesting. You spoken to Corsi lately?
I haven't.
Yeah,
Now, what is this? Greek from Greece? As in what? Greek from Turkey?
Well, you don't get a Greek from Queens. It's a little different.
Here's the Club Quarters Hotel.
The
Definitely one of
CQ.
there's this fucking moron here. Yeah, don't bother to look.
The guy with his phone.
Idiots.
Oh yeah, this is an interesting place. Book Off. It's like a Japanese used books and video games.
It would
and DVDs.
do a lot better in New York if it was fuck off.
Well, I think
People would
that's
flock there. So yeah, okay, I like
the
this one.
idea.
Fuck off.
It's like a play on words, but it's kind of a fun store, and you can sell used DVDs and video games and things.
Yeah. Well, so now we're going on a side street towards.
I didn't know about this, Mademoiselle Gabby. I like a good brasserie.
Yeah, I do too. Which part do you like the most? The cerise or the broth?
I really have had some excellent rotisserie chickens in
yeah.
places like that.
Yeah.
And salmon, roasted salmon is good to get there.
Up here, I think there's a kosher steakhouse, which is extremely good.
Oh, is it called like the Triplets or something?
No, I forget. We might be able to walk by it here, but somebody took me there for lunch once, and it was absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, but I bet you couldn't order a glass of milk.
I don't drink milk. I didn't like it as a kid, and I certainly don't like it now.
I like milk.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, I never realized because, again, in trying to do the right thing, sometimes my family's very into skim milk and stuff like that, and I hate that. I realized later, I like
Whole milk. Let's
the
go that way.
fattiest kind of unhomogenized grass-fed cow milk that's like thick and everything.
More for you, man. Any that would be served for me is put that in front of Jason. All his. Here's your TD Ameritrade. They're everywhere.
Yeah, they are. I don't understand why they need all these retail locations.
And here, I mean, who's buying this kind of food at this time of day? Right? I mean, what is this, an early dinner to take home? It's not lunch. Oh boy.
Lamb over rice.
Quick meal.
Oh, Bobby Flay likes this.
Who?
That guy, Bobby Flay, who is like a celebrity chef.
Uh-huh. Don't know him either.
He used to live in my apartment building.
Is that right?
Yep.
Huh. So there is a little bit of Clinton Foundation information, which I was going to go through. I will go through at some greater length in the.
I think people like a teaser.
So, but note to Chelsea, you're a moron.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, if you go to the Massachusetts Attorney General's site and you look up public filings on the main Clinton Foundation, you can look at the annual report for 2012, which is has a question in it about the management and the trustees and directors, and it says, list all your current directors, and it defines in the instructions what they mean by that, because it's a question, it's a legitimate question. Are you asking me about during the year 2012? Or
She should have just said, I'm not an accountant.
That's right.
I'm
I'm not an English speaker. But anyway, so they list out 3 trustees.
Bill Hillary.
Nope. Terrence McAuliffe, which they misspell his first name.
What?
They either get 2 R's or 1 R. One year they use 2, another year they use 1. Bruce Lindsay and Chelsea Clinton. That's who they say
Right.
on November 14th and 15th.
They have a
Aren't
show.
they married?
Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
They were in the Japanese restaurant when I saw her, and she seemed to remember that I yelled at her.
You have that. Your yelling is
It's quite
very
memorable.
memorable.
Yeah.
You got a distinctive yell,
My voice carries, I've been told.
unlike Janet Yellen. Her yelling nobody remembers. But anyway, so in Massachusetts, they file in the 990. They say that there are 3 directors.
This is new.
Walgreens, yeah.
They say there are 3 directors.
Right. Now, of course, why I say she's a moron is the Articles of Incorporation dictate.
It's new.
Yeah. Dictate whether you have. Let's let these people go. Have directors
No,
or.
I'd like to stay ahead of them. I don't trust those guys.
Okay. Have directors or trustees, and the articles clearly state it, and state to this day that they don't have directors; they have trustees, and there's a distinction, an important distinction. Anyway, in the amended version of the 2012 that's filed November 15th, 2015, they say they have a whole bunch of trustees, many more. But of course, the question is, what are the current number of trustees? So then, that's in 2015. If you go then, though, into the state forms, which is the PC report, the annual report for the state, there are 2 versions of it. One, it was filed in December 13th, 2013, says that they list 4 directors. They say that one of them was
Steven Spielberg.
no, Bruce Lindsay. One of them was Chelsea Clinton, who becomes a director on May 9th, I think it is, 2013. One is Skip Rutherford, who leaves the board April 29th, 2013. And the fourth is Terrence McAuliffe, right? So that means that for a period of time, specifically for about 2 weeks, the thing only has 2 trustees, which you can't do. That breaks the organizational. And you would have thought that for all of the spending money on private jets and flying to Africa and doing all, and they would have said, listen, let's hire. We don't have to get Ketanji Brown Jackson. Let's get somebody who's really stupid, but at least
Kamala Harris, is she available?
but who wants to dress up his or her resume, and let's make them the chief legal officer of the Clinton Foundation, and let's make sure they fill the fucking paperwork out properly. It's not
Right.
complicated. If you can't do that right, you shouldn't be throwing away all kinds of grant money. You shouldn't be soliciting funds. You shouldn't be saying you're a philanthropist. None of that. And the paperwork, so getting back to Ketanji, let's let these people go. Getting back to her, I mean, there's a case of Joe Biden promising the world that instead of doing it the way I would have done it, and say, I have the chance now to appoint a Supreme Court justice, I'm going to have a rigorous search committee, and we are going to get the best possible candidate
Right.
in the United States of America, and we are going to, this is going to be tougher than a combination of the World Series, the Super Bowl, you name it. We're going to have all these lawyers compete for it, and by the time I pick the person, you can be very sure this person will be outstanding. Instead of doing that, he says, I have decided that my candidate is going to be a black woman.
Right.
So trots that person out there, and
Well,
Marsha
right away,
Black-
what section of the lawyers is that?
Well, but then in
reduced
the
your
hearings
pool.
yesterday, Marsha Blackburn, who's somebody I've met,
Yeah.
who's very smart actually.
She's been on the show.
Yeah, and a number of times, right? I think maybe twice. But she asked the question, what is the definition of a woman? I'm not a biologist, so similarly, as far as this foundation is concerned, nobody knows. It's not a foundation. I mean, it's a grifter exchange operation with no papers, no audits, no nothing, and all these dimwits who are playing along for the privilege of having corrupted and corruptible people in office at high levels are saying, you know what? Yeah, it's a fraud, and everybody knows it's a fraud,
Wow.
but it's our fraud. And we now have the Clintons under our skin, under our thumb rather,
Right.
and we're just gonna, that's how we roll. Now the question is, for how much longer are we gonna have to put up with this bullshit? We've got Supreme Court justices who don't know that. I mean, I'm supposed to make a precedent-setting, tough decision as one of 9 voices, but I can't tell you what a woman is.
Yeah, I mean, that's just the most
Absurd.
absurd and troubling thing I've heard from somebody who hopes to be a judge in at least a day.
Right. I would say that's disqualifying
I agree.
to get into college or get into a good high school.
I agree.
I mean, why would you trust the judgment of somebody who answers a question in that way?
Right.
And then so aggressively on defense. Any tough question, that's racist, I'm not going to answer that. You didn't say that, but that's...
No, but every newspaper is saying they're asking her racist questions. What was racist? I mean, I didn't listen to the whole thing.
Well, it's not, it's just any tough question. If you don't begin it, well, I'd like to start by saying is, Corey Snooker gets up there and he's all, remember he was, in Kavanaugh, he was Spartacus, if you remember. I am Spartacus. That's not over the top crazy land.
I'm glad that I haven't heard too much from him in a long time, and I like that.
Well, ever since his girlfriend came out as a lesbian, I think that's blown his cover a little bit. Remember, when he was running for president, he wasn't running very hard. He does these really obnoxious tweets, or one of them, it was movie star, I forget the name, what her name was, and he says, meet my boo.
Oh,
Corey,
on now.
nobody's buying this shit,
Yeah.
okay? Nobody's buying it. So his boo comes out as a lesbian after he drops out.
now wait a second, Charles, because this is like COVID testing row over here. We've got that tent there. We've got this tent here.
Right.
That guy doesn't have his tip
It's
jar
probably a
out.
fake COVID place. And here's a bus that's a COVID place. You get on the
Yeah.
bus, you take the train to the plane to the bus,
And then get your COVID test with the anal swab.
and then you can go over there to Smith's Bar.
That's been there forever.
I know.
P. Diddy's studio is down there.
Well, I think Smith's Bar is probably where all the Amtrak conductors hang out before
That
they get
might be
in.
right.
Sit and do nothing for 4 hours all the way down to Washington. This place, a number of times I've taken the bus here, Port Authority, and some of the buses leave at like 7:30. So you come up to this area at 7:30. It is dangerous.
Well, look at this. Does this seem like something you want to have some medical crap done to you in?
Absolutely, open heart surgery. Bring it.
And it smells like a turd right here.
Yeah. Well, at least you get your stuffed animals right there. You got the
Baby Yoda.
porn shop over there. Satin dolls
Oh yeah, Gentleman's Club it
and
says.
the playpen.
Charles, you can get an infinity gauntlet there if you want to pretend you're Thanos.
I want to pretend I'm what?
Snap your fingers and decimate the world. Look, here's Bill Clinton wearing a scarf or something. What the hell is he? Oh, I guess that's to keep his head from breaking
Cover up
off.
his neck from getting all the raspberries from various and sundry people. Big George. I think George was quite tall.
Huh. Is it true that he had wooden teeth?
I think many people did back in the.
How could they possibly last more than a week?
I think we should count our lucky stars that we're not living in that era. I think it was pretty rough.
It seems like it would suck. When I saw that movie Gangs of New York, yeah, it just made me feel like.
Well, out
really
west,
bad.
for example, I mean, people didn't really bathe that frequently, so it's a miracle there were children.
Right. Now remember, Carl Rittenhouse spoke about how he spent some unusually long amount of time not having access to a.
Well, there's a guy with a laptop and everything. No, not in the tent. Nobody's there. But a laptop's
The whole
there.
thing is just being phoned in.
You can hop in and hop off here.
So people could get on this bus thinking they're about to get a tour of Tel Aviv, and then before you know it, something is shoved in your nose.
Yeah. The bus blows up. We're gonna walk by the New York Slimes. Maybe we'll see
Right.
some of their distinguished. There's this guy in D.C. who's soliciting ideas for crooked charity reporting. Of course, I suggested the Clinton Foundation, and I mean, I can't get the guy to stop calling me. Not.
So there's more COVID tests over here. It's obviously got to be that you still need the test to go back. Like this is going to be international tourists around.
Well, yeah, and right. You want to go in a Broadway play.
Do you need the test? I thought they lifted that.
I don't know. They're constantly changing the rules as usual. Yeah, it's Katunji.
I identify as vaccinated. Let me in.
Exactly.
I mean, they say no.
I identify as a billionaire. That's why
Here's
I'm here.
unattended stuff. But that's a serious question, Charles. I mean, if we're going to just throw empirical fact out the window, how do we have any handle on anything?
Well, that's the whole point of this shit. They want anarchy and chaos. That's the plan. I did see something on my Twitter feed, a number of interesting things, but one was that apparently the Russian government, according to this tweet, which could be bullshit, has sworn out an arrest warrant for Soros.
Oh.
Which is interesting.
Why'd they wait?
I know. I don't know if it's true.
How are they going to be able to do that?
I don't know. Well, Soros has got assets all over the world.
Speaking of arrest warrants, I think I found out yesterday why that lawsuit against me by a very tall brother of a very drunk idiot got dropped. Because it would have required him to come to New York.
Oh. There you go. So this is the New York Times building. It was a building in which the New York Times had a lot of space, and they've been downsizing.
This is where all that's the lunch break for all the New York Times writers.
Right, I don't think they even have to leave. I think they probably got shooting up
through the AC
I
system.
think they're doing worse than vaping. I think it's heroin.
This is the new editor. Oh, there he goes.
Yeah, that's the editor-in-chief. The New York Slimes, Jason.
I know. The only thing I like about this is that French guy who climbs the building. Wow. Why are we having bulletproof security at the New York Times? Is there some threat?
Well, once you threaten my life,
Huh?
once somebody threatened my life, all bets is off.
I didn't threaten your life.
Not you.
Did somebody threaten your life?
Yeah, it's a while back.
But so you guys are the security for the New York Times, and then
And then we also got detail police in the back too.
Wow, be careful.
wow.
Yeah, I'm good. Thanks though.
All right.
So what are you, a news? You guys a news reporter?
No, we're just doing a podcast here, just chatting. But you guys aren't armed. Don't you need guns?
No, can't tell you that though.
All right.
All right, take it easy, fellas.
Take it easy.
Be careful.
Be safe. Stay away from those rabid dog New York Times reporters.
Body armor
It's
dudes.
It's ridiculous. These guys just tie your shoes.
Who's trying to gun their way into the New York Times, and for what purpose?
Hunter.
Ah. You know, it's funny, when I did that video a couple of weeks or months ago of like a little walking tour of Hunter Biden's real estate empire, I just was looking up addresses associated with him, and then now this morning I got an alert from one of these websites that says, oh, somebody you've been looking at has a new address within the last 30 days, and it was Robert Biden.
Really?
Yeah.
Who's that? Is that
Robert Hunter Biden.
Oh, is that his name?
Here's another new Weed World vehicle.
Decriminalize and industrialize.
Well, this is going to monetize for whoever.
That's your song, right
is
next
that
to
R.
COVID.
Kelly or who is
I
that?
don't know. COVID testing site here.
Oh God, it smells like gasoline. Yeah. You got all these vehicles running, generators and stuff.
You're sitting there as Vladimir Putin, and you're saying, I'm going to take instruction from Bite Me and Sullivan and these other guys on how to manage my economy when this is what New York looks like?
It's terrible.
You know?
No, Joe Biden needs to be fired immediately. Is this Weed World or a competitor? This is
Hemp on
on Wheels.
Mobile
different deal.
dispensary.
You guys competing with Weed World? Oh, Charles, they have tinctures and chocolates.
Wow.
All the. Wait. Have we seen this before? Is this a Weed World
Money
retail
change.
location?
Money change.
No,
New
it
York
says
gift
Weed
and
World up
luggage.
there.
Huh?
It's like a Weed World franchise or something. I'm not really sure what's going on with the.
I don't think anyone here is all that sure. Walk to walk. Grace Cafe.
So these guys aren't cops; they're just sort of security.
I think they're rent-a-cops.
It's an
this is-
unbelievable wreck, Charles.
this
It's getting
is-
worse every day.
Yeah, this is what happens when you have an idiocracy. You have
Yeah.
all these people coming up with laws and regulations and
Well,
get
when you
anything done.
pretend that obviously false things are true, and you deny facts, and you live in a lie, the result is something that doesn't work properly.
Right. Here's the Department of Defense.
This department will put that guy behind the fence.
He'll have an opinion, which, again, I'm fine for people having opinions. Let everyone have their opinions.
Charles, I got a great idea. Instead of weed, everybody could just smoke electronics. It burns your throat, but it kicks like
That
crazy.
plastic.
Yeah.
It's got a good bite. I'll have a plastic daiquiri.
Oh, there was something else that happened in the world of electric vehicles yesterday.
Here's the
So
Moon
there's this
Spa.
company, Rivian,
Right.
which maybe Jeff Bezos is investing in or something just because he hates Elon Musk. But they are supposed to be the first ones to make an electric pickup truck, and they just raised the price from $70,000 to $84,000.
Yeah,
Seems like a big raise.
Well, I've been telling friends on TV there are ads for the Cherokee, which my kids used to refer to as the Cherokee when they were young, but a starting base price,
Oh, it's a lot of money.
$70,000.
Yeah.
And a Grand Wagoneer, $90,000.
It's a lot.
It's not like, that's an example of government, right? The government gives you stuff,
That place is out of business.
right? They give you stuff that they say is valuable in their view. What is
Look at
this?
this filthy van.
Another COVID test, another COVID test.
But it just looks like a wreck. So they give you something that they say is of value.
Yeah, that's the. If you go into the details of, that's nice. A bus that takes such good care of itself is exactly where I want
Right.
to get jabbed.
When you walk into the doctor's office and the
You
window
get
is
pigeon
smashed,
shit.
unbelievable. This guy's probably having a couple of drinks driving here, crashing into things.
Mr. Magoo's COVID.
There's nobody in there.
But so when you look at the details of gross domestic product, and a big slice of gross domestic product is government spending, fully considered, state, local, federal, all aspects, including wages. And they make the assumption that the value it is assumed in the accounts that the value of the spending is equal to its cost, which is always, in business, that's the way it works, right?
Well, because otherwise you're getting ripped off?
No.
Or you're saying they just make it that on paper?
It's ridiculous. I mean, the idea that the people who bring you a $2 million toilet seat are saying that because they spent $2 million, it's really worth $2 million. That doesn't work in business. It doesn't work in government.
Street outreach. Street health
Two
outreach.
COVIDs, right? There's another COVID, another COVID.
Well,
Weed next to
now
weed
if your
world.
little kid is learning to play tennis, they could get weed and
So
an
if
anal
I get
swab.
a COVID test, do I get some free weed? Do I get cash back?
That's a missed opportunity.
A wife? Nothing? I got to pick COVID or weed.
That's the choice.
And how do I decide whether this is better than that? Okay. Nice talking to you. You're adding value.
It's funny. They should definitely be getting together with the COVID test on the
Right.
weed bus. I don't understand. Why is the little kid tennis camp not pissed off that they're selling weed right outside there?
No, I mean, nice.
I think that was an accident. I don't know. I
This-
wouldn't take my kid to a tennis camp outside a
I
weed
think
place.
that, these walk-arounds are the clearest arguments I've seen. Feel free to just barge through us, man. Are the clearest arguments I've seen for getting the fuck out of here. I mean, it's the opposite, those travel
Yeah.
commercials. Come to the Philippines, or come to Manhattanistan. Are you out of your
Well,
freaking mind?
They did some big commercial, like in the last days of Cuomo.
I love New York, yeah.
I love New York, right? And that Moynihan train
It
thing
should,
and
it should,
everything.
we should, you could probably use Don Rickles' AI
Dig 'em
version.
up.
Dig them up and cut a bunch of hell. I loathe New York. Did I tell you? New York is so disgusting.
More
COVID
COVID.
test, it's the same company. Must be a franchise.
CTS.
And they had a story somewhere on Free Republic about how some COVID testing company got paid $179 million. So I
What?
think this is a scam that
I agree.
have these people out here because nobody ever checks. They just say, yeah, we tested 100,000 people,
people and give us the
100,000
money,
people,
right.
send us a check. And then you go, the person sending you the check has a nephew or girlfriend or a mistress or whatever, and you get your check and then you give 10%, Mr. 10%, you give it to Biden, and 20% you give it to Janet Yellen. I'm just making this up now.
Well, you know what? Somebody was making a comment about Janet Yellen and accidentally wrote Janet G-H-E-L-E-N. And I was like, wait a minute.
G-H-E,
Is
Janet?
this possible that Yellen is some, English or American respelling of a name?
No.
She's not related to Reinhard Galen?
No. And she's just one of these people. I love people. I love remarking about people who believe that because you speak like this, others will think you're smart.
You have to
that
do
this
that, right.
and this. And do the, I mean, it's just get up there as she did. And in the period where you're trying to manage the way people think, right? So you get up there when the first signs of inflation, and she says, inflation is transitory. My husband won a Nobel Prize in economics, so I know what I'm talking about.
Did he?
Yeah.
Oh.
And I mean, I couldn't, looks like a serious operation there. I couldn't
Not really. 'Cause he's
sit
P2.
in a
That's
room
old
listening
crap.
to Janet Yellen for more than 10 seconds. And it has nothing to do with her sex or age or her political
It's that
affiliation.
haircut, isn't it?
None of the above. She's a moron. Why would I want to listen to this moron?
Yeah, here's
Inflation's
something
transitory. It's the highest level of inflation we've had in history, but it's transitory.
Is that the highest ever?
Yes.
Well, look at this, Charles. That's the first time I've seen a line here in a long time for taxis.
Yeah.
And people with big suitcases, they're coming from somewhere.
Well, it's this spring vacation time frame.
Bad choice to take a vacation in New York. Are you on vacation here in New York? It's a huge line. I'm surprised. Where are you guys coming from?
Black box, killers.
Ah, thank you.
What did he say?
The train.
Oh,
It's like, okay.
really? How did you figure that out? You're taking a taxi to the train?
Jesus, man.
You know?
That type of answer deserves a slap.
It should be like that show, Wipeout. Have you ever seen that game show? It's pretty funny.
Really.
It's an old Japanese show where these contestants have to go across an obstacle course, and it's actually quite difficult. You have to do things that a normal, somebody who's very fit would have a hard time doing. And inevitably the person gets punched in the face and goes in the water or gets slimed on a whatever. That would be the funny way to do the national political debates. All right,
bang, hit him
all
with
right. Jay Inslee,
Doesn't
the Blaze Show. Yeah, you got enough signatures to run for president. That's a serious truck.
this looks like Optimus Prime or something.
That's
I've
got to
never
be
seen-
an expensive truck, right?
Yeah. But the thing I was going to tell you, that guy's answer, Charles, reminds me of my brother's girlfriend from college became like a speech pathologist or something, and she was like, teaching kids who like somehow had like either a speech disability or something like that, teaching them how to read. She had this one student who she showed a picture, I think the picture was of a pigeon,
Right.
and she said, "What is this?" And the kid said, "It's a chicken." And she was like, "Well, all right, we're getting somewhere." And she says, "Okay, and a chicken is a type of," and the kid said, "meat." And they're like, "Okay, next question."
I love it. Little kids at TV, you got to watch that. You're never going to win that.
The bird was the right answer, I think.
Exactly. Kids say the darndest things.
Now, this was Brother Jimmy's barbecue, but it's been basically closed for a very long time.
Panda Express is open.
I
sure
just super hate that place.
I'm sure it's high quality.
No.
And you go to the Blarney Stone restaurant. This is sad.
I haven't been there since college.
Have you ever had corned beef and cabbage and boiled potatoes and that kind of stuff?
I don't really like that kind of stuff.
It's the kind of, I seldom, when food is put in front of me, I seldom just say under no circumstances. This is really smart. You have this right here, and that makes you look
Wet,
at that.
garbage.
It's just like, I want some of that in my. Let's keep going, Jason.
My
I want some of that in my stomach.
My
If I
God,
can't have
look at
that,
this.
I want this. And this is your salmon farmer.
Oh boy, that's not good.
Nice. That guy's wearing a Yale sweatshirt.
Smoking like a chimney, and
I have a funny
smells
feeling
like
that
Bubblicious.
the Yale lock company,
Oh,
as opposed to, but it was the colors, and that's like that's one of these things where you have, feel free.
Wow.
Moron.
that's crazy.
This is one of these things where it's probably the grandson of a billionaire, granddaughter went to
built this?
architecture school, and I want to do a building. I could do a building. I'll get a good bargain. I'll put this up here. It's a surefire winner. It's right next to subsidized housing. There's crime everywhere. But
Right.
I'll put money here. It's not like over there. That's expensive. I'll put it here. Because
An
real estate,
apartment in there has got to be $1 million.
much more than $1 million, and it's not like in real estate there's only one rule: you don't need to go to Harvard Business School. Location, location, location. That is a shit location.
Yeah, it is.
Only an idiot would buy a place there.
Well, listen, it's conveniently located next to an out-of-business Taco Bell.
Next to a dumpster fire. I mean, Taco Bell couldn't make a go of it here, right?
Well, I think they opened it. Isn't there one right down there that we just walked past? Did they move to a bigger one?
I don't know. You got wine and liquor stores.
I mean, what's the point? They're just like pumping out too much Taco Bell from this place?
This is, somebody owns this land. They didn't bother to put anything up here. You could have put a building up here. Instead,
Whoops, this just flipped out.
maybe we dissed.
No, I just over... I don't know what happened. There we go.
Good.
China.
China. Well, we're getting close to 28th Street again. The
Yeah.
poor lady was killed.
Right.
We got to get out of this neighborhood soon.
Well, we
So you
got to
gotta get
check in and see what Dumb Joe had to say.
Not much. I bet you he Ralphed.
That would be the smartest thing he's said in a year and a half.
Watch it.
Charles, we've been encountering a lot of people vaping,
That's
and
got
I mean the cloud of smoke is unbelievable.
Castelli Cafe.
What is that guy
I
selling?
don't know what we're talking about. 7-Eleven. You got to pay this guy for the privilege of entry.
Whoops.
Watch yourself, Jason.
Yep. I'm just trying to check if there's any comments, anything anybody wants to
Sure.
hear us chat about before we wrap it up, because we are getting close to the end of our journey here.
Maybe hit a Louis here.
Yeah, so John Mark Dugan is in transit today. I agree with the comment that the person made that he appears to be kind of joining.
Maybe
I think we have to go here because
we'll
they
go
have
down
some.
one more block.
Yeah. He definitely does appear. I mean, again, John was a Marine, he was a cop, so he's going and doing stuff that I definitely would not do.
Well, just while you're looking, on my Twitter feed, which I would commend, there's various and sundry people have been putting up detailed reports of what they think is going on in Ukraine, which is very different than what we're hearing out of NATO allies.
Yeah.
And I really would encourage people, my opening position on what's going on in Ukraine is I don't know. I'm not there. It's a big country. It's a fast-moving situation. It's very difficult to know when you meet somebody whether they're actually Ukrainian, actually Russian,
Right.
you know, who they're really fighting for. And the one thing we do know, it's corrupt as hell, the country. New York is corrupt as hell, too.
It's true. I had a question.
Sure.
There was an article that came out yesterday. Maybe it was in the Daily Mail or something. And they made a big deal. They were like, oh, Putin's opulent yacht has a gold toilet or something.
Who cares?
But not only that, who says it's his yacht? If you read the article, it was like, well, rumors say.
I know.
It's
just,
like, right, but what evidence is there that this is even his yacht?
Or I mean, yesterday we had, I think, a session at the Clinton Foundation, which doesn't actually exist. It was a virtual meeting involving Fauci. How do the Clintons have 3 homes that we know about? How does Chelsea have her fancy apartment? How did she have, in the back in the Massachusetts filing, she's listed as a salaried employee in Massachusetts. That's news to me. I didn't know that she was getting a salary. You know, so want to talk about corruption and oligarchs. Let's start here.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Dianne Feinstein.
Right.
Let's talk about Nancy Pelosi.
Right.
Let's talk about Joe Biden.
Joe Biden, right.
You know, and John Solomon actually has a very good piece today in Just the News going back into all that. So I'm not going to say why, but I will just say that I am encouraged about the course of developments now having to do with charity fraud. And it's being exposed and people being held to account. It is taking a very long time to make progress, but I'm just saying, and I generally don't make these type of announcements, but I'm saying I believe that progress is at hand here.
I hope
And I
that's right.
think, well, it has to be because, you know, this country can't go bankrupt. We technically, I would argue, are bankrupt
I was
right
going
now.
to say we can't go on like this.
Right.
We
Go
have a
up and around.
blockage there.
We'll go up and around.
Oh, up here? Okay.
Yeah. Do some exercise. Look at what
Yeah, we're technically in FIT now. Charles.
exercise. Well, the sidewalk's closed, so we got no
This guy's very fashionable.
late. You mean?
He's wearing a black T-shirt and a baseball cap. You seem to be in
I'm
the
wearing
wrong
it.
school.
I'm
Yeah, but
wearing
you're
it.
not trying to go to fashion school.
Are you kidding me? I have a PhD in fashion.
It was interesting, Charles, how the other day Fauci was like, well, you know, I realize there's about to be a nuclear war. Perhaps it's a good time for me to resign. Bye, everyone.
What an idiot.
And it was like, where the hell did Fauci go?
A whole collection of these people. I have never been more unimpressed by experts than I am on March 24th, 2022. I mean,
The generals are the biggest surprise to me because
Yeah,
you feel like if you're going to give these people guns and tanks and weapons, you want them to have some idea of what the hell they're doing.
Yeah, I started to explain my experience with the general who was brought in to run a railroad,
Right.
chief operating officer, and the experience we had with him is that generals are accustomed, and it's life or death, and I understand. American generals are accustomed to saying, because if you fuck up, it's not helpful, to say, well, okay, whatever I really think I need by way of forces,
10 times that.
exactly, 10 times, and you can't do that in business.
No.
You've got to
Because even if you succeed, you'll go out of business.
No, you can't have twice, let alone 10 times.
No.
Now, I understand in a life or death situation, how do you place a value on life? It's not easy, if it's possible. But so these pundits who were saying, Russia is going to decimate Ukraine in 2 days to 72 hours, all those people.
And they're failing now because they didn't do that.
And we didn't talk, we were almost done, but Tucker's show last night, for people who haven't seen it, was absolutely hilarious when it came to Hillary. And I have some questions I answer for Katya that should be out on Sputnik as we speak, but about Hillary and why she's raising her profile and what really may be going on. But she's basically saying the woman who attempted to rig, certainly rigged the Democratic primary in 2015-16, attempted to rig the general election, and then attempted to obstruct the operation of the Trump administration for its entire tenure. That person, working with Russians and Ukrainians, has the gall to call Tucker Carlson out as not being a patriot and being a Russian agent.
God, I can't wait until Hillary Clinton is gone.
On a podcast. Well, when she asked for suggestions for movies to watch now that she has COVID, I mean, that really, the Twitter universe, somebody must have decided at Twitter that they don't want Hillary around because it was brutal. Absolutely brutal, the comments.
Twitter is just a piece of crap. So I'm finally on the Trump Truth Network, whatever it is.
Truth Train.
Truth Social. And I'm not impressed. I hope it improves. Twitter is terrible, so I hope they do something better with it, but I don't know.
You could buy one of Tucker's t-shirts. F***CK Twitter. He's advertising them on Fox. This is really nice, Jason, to be so garbage adjacent.
They have the mint bags, so that's good.
That's a lot of garbage.
I know. I think that's Whole Foods. But anyway, Charles, it's been a very chilly but nice conversation. Thanks to everybody for watching. I think this is going to be it for the shows for today, so I hope people will become sponsors. Tomorrow, we've got David Hawkins and John Cohen. Great time to become a sponsor on subscribestar.com/crowdsourcethetruth or patreon.com/crowdsourcethetruth. Thanks for watching.